Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday.
So who is he?
That is Luther Whitney. He's one of the great thieves of the world.
A thief who witnessed a murder. He saw nothing. He's a burglar. Who's gonna believe him?
Well, he could be a little more than that. He's got the letter opener. Blood, fingerprints. Think what he can do.
This person goes in the front door, out a window and down a rope in the middle of the night. I don't know how this guy's doing.
You won't recognize him. He could be right around the corner. If he doesn't want you to find him, you're not going to find him.
You're gonna get with the program. You're gonna catch this guy.
Not dealing with a fool here, are we?
Father, what have you done?
You don't know the heat on this. He's on the run and he's scared, and he's right to be scared because he's going to get caught.
Then what?
Then I'd kill him. Entertainment presents Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Ed Harris, Laura Linney, Judy Davis, Scott Glenn, Dennis Haysbert, and E.G. Marshall.
Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, we're going to cover the movie Absolute Power from 1997. The studio was Columbia Pictures. Release date was February 14th, 1997. The running time, 121 minutes, and was rated R. The budget was $50 million, and the box office took in $50 million, making it the 38th ranked movie of 1997. Roger Ebert at the time gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars. Here's his review. Clint Eastwood's Absolute Power is a tight, taut thriller with a twist. It's also about a father and a daughter, estranged for years, who are finally able to become friends. Not many thrillers slow down to notice relationships, but this one does. Absolute Power is based loosely on the best-selling novel by David Baldacci, and could have been silly, but it's not because Eastwood uses fine actors and a smart script by William Goldman to make it something more. Most thrillers depend on chase scenes and shootouts, and some of the best scenes in Absolute Power involve dialogue. And then he goes through the plot, which, that's my job, so I'm not going to do that. So that's really kind of the end of Roger Ebert's review, but he did really enjoy the film. Now, I remember my dad being a fan of David Baldacci's novels, so when a film adaptation of Absolute Power was released, he made a point of telling me this was a movie that I would likely really enjoy. And of course, any movie with Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman was probably going to be a must-watch for me anyway, and I went to the theater, and I wasn't disappointed. All right, let's get into the making of the film. So normally, I go through things after lots of research and whatnot. In the case of this film, there's not a ton out there, but I did find this great short clip from author David Baldacci giving his memories of when he was told that his novel was going to be adapted into a film. There is a spoiler alert, though if you're a fan of movies in general, the revelation should not come as a shock.
Back in 1996, I learned that Clint Eastwood had signed on to star, direct, and produce the film Absolute Power based on my novel. I got the news from Bill Goldman, who was a 2-time Academy Award-winning screenwriter, and he was the one writing the screenplay. And when I got the phone call from Bill, it was sort of a weird phone call because Bill said, I've got some great news for you and I've got some awful news for you. I opted for the great news first, and he said, Clint Eastwood has just signed on to do the film. That means that Warner Brothers and Castle Rock are going to greenlight it. Congratulations, Absolute Power is going to get made. And I was like, oh my God, Clint Eastwood. I later called everybody I'd ever known in my whole life, including my first grade school teacher, to let her know what had happened to me, all this great news. And then I asked Bill, so what was the bad news? And he said, well, the bad news is Clint Eastwood has signed on to star, direct, and produce your film. Your book is basically gone. My marching orders from Clint are the young hero in your novel, he's gone, because Clint is the hero in every film that he does, and the character that Clint was playing, the burglar in Absolute Power, dies halfway through. Clint does not die in his films. Even if he does die, he comes back and kills everybody as a ghost, which he did in Pale Rider. So it was kind of a weird phone call because I felt euphoria at having learned that iconic filmmaker and star like Clint Eastwood was going to be in the film, and then also knowing that a good bulk of my book was going to be jettisoned because Clint needed to be the hero in the novel, and Bill Goldman's job was to rewrite the script to keep Clint Eastwood's character alive. And he called me up one night and he said, "I just can't figure out how to keep this guy alive. You want to have a shot at it?" And I was like, "Bill, I spent 3 years of my life writing the book, killing him. So no, I have no idea how we keep him alive." So they eventually brought another screenwriter in to do a polish and figure that out, and they did. And the movie did really, really well, and people really loved it. I think it's the most played movie on TNT network in the United States. Every time I turn the TV on TNT, Absolute Power is playing. They must have played that thing 1,000 times, but I never get tired of watching it.
All right, let's get into the film. So just a warning, there are not many clips out there either. So you get what you get, folks, but even better, this gives you a chance to go see the film itself. So the film opens at an art museum in Washington, D.C. Luther Whitney, played by Clint Eastwood, is with a group of other amateur artists sketching the artwork displayed.
Don't give up.
Oh, I never do.
May I? You work with your hands, don't you?
Indeed he does. Luther is a master thief. And by the way, the woman in the last clip is Clint's daughter, Allison, who has appeared in other films with her father like Bronco Billy, Any Which Way You Can, and Tightrope. Luther lives a seemingly quiet and simple life alone, but that's all part of the ruse. To have a flashy lifestyle wouldn't be wise and could make him noticeable. Luther prefers to blend in with the background. One evening, Luther goes on what seems like a regular job for him. He breaks into a large estate with ease. He methodically turns off the alarm system and never panics as time gets down to the wire. He makes his way up to the master bedroom. He finds a large mirror and decides it's where the vault must be. And he's correct, and is even stunned himself to find the amount of high-priced items just waiting to be stolen, like rare coins, watches, necklaces, and a lot of cash. However, as he's wrapping up, a man and a woman appear in the bedroom. Luther locks himself into the vault. The couple is very drunk. After yet another drink, the woman decides to freshen up. In kind of a funny scene, Luther stares straight at the man in the mirror as it's a two-way mirror. The woman comes back and the two begin to fool around. But being drunk doesn't help matters as her lovemaking is sloppy and becomes rough. The man then slaps the woman in the heat of the moment, and then she slaps him back. He then throws her on the bed and chokes her. She grabs him in the crotch and tries to crawl away. She punches him, then he punches her back. Her nose begins to bleed, and then he begins to choke her. The woman reaches for a letter opener and stabs him in the arm. She gains the upper hand and tries to kill him. And Luther is watching all this in horror, seeing the events unfold in front of him. And then as the woman goes to stab the man, a shot rings out, and the woman falls over. Two men shoot her dead. And look, for explanation's sake, I'll just lay out who the players are at this point. The man who started the rough sex is, well, the President of the United States, Alan Rickman, played by Gene Hackman. The dead woman is Christy Sullivan. That's Melora Hardin. She actually played Jan in the TV series The Office. Christy is married to a much older billionaire named Walter Sullivan, played by E.G. Marshall, and Luther was robbing their mansion. The two men that killed Christy are Secret Service agents. Bill Burton, that's Scott Glenn, and Tim Collin, Dennis Haysbert. The next person who arrives in the room is the President's Chief of Staff, Gloria Russell, played by Judy Davis. Now keep in mind, as a viewer, we don't know exactly who the players are, but I'll save some time for episode purposes, since it will eventually be known soon enough if you watch the film. Gloria immediately goes into damage control. They can't call the police because that would mean the end of the presidency for Alan Rickman. Gloria quickly comes up with a story where Christy interrupted a burglary and was killed in the process. In the meantime, the Secret Service cleans up all the evidence that would incriminate the president. But they make one mistake as they accidentally drop the bag letter opener which was used during the scuffle. But Luther immediately notices this. When the coast is clear, Luther exits the vault and grabs the bloody letter opener. But just then, Gloria lets out a panicked scream as she realizes they don't have the knife. Luther races to get out the window before the Secret Service arrives back in the room. Luther gets away in the nick of time, but now the players know that someone knows exactly how the death of Christie occurred. The agents chase Luther through the woods. But little do they know that Luther is also a long-distance runner who's in great shape. Even their use of night vision goggles can't help them catch him. However, Tim got the license plate number of Luther's car. So these first 30 minutes are a masterclass in how to get the audience very much involved in the film. I remember absolutely loving this intro when seeing it in the theater for the first time, and you couldn't wait to find out how things were going to play out. The next day we meet Kate Whitney, that's Luther's adult daughter, played by Laura Linney. The two don't have much of a relationship, mostly due to Kate not wanting one with Luther. Her animosity towards Luther is due to him being imprisoned for his crimes and never being around for her or her mother. The two have not spoken for over a year after the death of her mom. Luther tells Kate that he's thinking about moving, to which Kate doesn't really care, as she wants nothing to do with him. The main detective on the Sullivan murder is Seth Frank, played by Ed Harris, and it's obvious to him and the investigators that the crime scene has been cleaned up, as almost nothing about the murder makes sense. Frank questions Walter, as the spouse is always the lead suspect for crimes like this. Frank's main question is about the chair in the vault, and Walter admits that after his first wife died, he married a younger woman to forget the pain of the loss. He knew that he couldn't sexually satisfy Christie, who was more than half his age, so instead of going behind his back, she would have male callers and suggested he watch in the vault chair. Frank, who is satisfied with this answer, assures that he will try to keep the reputation of Walter intact during the investigation. By all accounts, Walter Sullivan's philanthropic work has made him a very well-respected man. To complicate things even further, the president is close friends with Walter. Walter even helped Alan get elected. It actually shows what a despicable person Alan Richman is. He has an affair with his best friend's wife, then essentially gets her killed, and then acts like he's sympathetic to Walter's loss. Now, Alan doesn't seem concerned that the license plate of Luther's car was from a stolen vehicle from a police impound lot. They assume Luther would just disappear, along with any further headaches of the Christie Sullivan murder. But to hedge their bets, led by Agent Bill Burton, the Secret Service bugged the phone lines of the police department where Frank works to hear any leads early to allow them to be one step ahead of the police and keep the president out of the murder investigation. Walter also decides to hire a private investigator named Michael McCarty, that's played by Richard Jenkins. He wants him to find and dispose of the killer. All right, there's about an hour left and plenty of suspense and questions to be answered. Now, I've always been a huge fan of Clint Eastwood, and it's amazing that after 3 decades in the film industry, he found a way to top himself even further in the 1990s. Absolute Power is yet another gem in his filmography, so if you haven't seen the film yet, or haven't watched it in a while, I say do yourself a favor and revisit it. It's well worth your time, and it's got a terrific cast. And the ending is perfect, by the way. Now, I will leave you with this great clip, where you get some stone-cold acting that Eastwood was always known for.
Dr. Kevorkian, I presume. My guess is this is right in your carotid artery about now. You're gonna get a little woozy. But if I give you the rest of this, it's gonna fry your brain down the size of a peanut. Drop that.
Right or wrong?
Well, he made a mistake. You made a mistake. When you went after my little girl, that was entirely unacceptable.
Mercy.
I'm fresh out.
Daddy?
Go to sleep, darling.
Yep, Clint has always been the man. All right, some fun facts. Clint Eastwood's extremely organized methods of directing led to the filming being completed in just over 3 weeks ahead of schedule, and he was also $2 to $4 million under budget. The movie was released 1 year after its source novel was published. Reportedly, the movie rights to the book sold for $5 million. All right, luckily it didn't take me $5 million to get these guys on the show, but we have returning guests, Metal Mike Tyler and Bill Roseberry, who join me often, and they are great. They're kind of like part of the family here. So let's talk to them now about Absolute Power. Then I'll be back next week to talk about yet another random movie from my DVD collection. All right, welcome back. And if we were going to talk about Clint Eastwood and power, we got to have DJ Metal Mike and Bill Roseberry back. So welcome back, boys.
Do you feel lucky, punk? Do you? Oh, wait, that's the wrong movie. Yeah.
But is it?
Sorry.
Is it really?
Is it really? Yeah, thanks for having us on, Brian. Always a pleasure, as you know.
Absolutely. Have we done a Clint Eastwood movie yet? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I did. In the Line of Fire with you.
That's right.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever listened to that one.
Yeah, that was one of my
rewatch that
episodes, actually. I think.
Watching this movie again put me on an old Clint Eastwood. Man, I was on a roll there. I watched Blood Work.
Oh, I did that one.
Hail Rider. I watched In the Line of Fire, and then I'd watched Absolute Power. I was all over some Clint movies.
You forget how much he's done. He's still alive as of recording this. I mean, the guy is truly an American treasure.
Oh, he's amazing.
He really is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is the third Hackman movie for me. You and I did French Connection with Brian. We actually recorded that at Rockin' Pod.
Yeah, we were in person. That was great.
And then The
Firm.
You and I did The Firm. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Which was also a novel adaptation, which is
sure.
This is
I love John Grisham, but but I had never read The Firm, but
right. So most listeners know I'm a huge fan of Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman. This film was a no-brainer for me. How about you guys? Were you first day viewers, or did it come down? Was it down the road where this came on your radar?
It was a movie I was interested in seeing for whatever reason. I couldn't. It's been so long ago, I can't remember why I didn't get around to going to theater to see it. But when it came out on video, I was a first day renter.
Sure.
And I watched it, and I loved it. I mean, it's Clint Eastwood, it's Gene Hackman. I mean, what a stellar cast you have on here, though, man. Because it's not just them. I mean, you got Ed Harris, you have Laura Linney playing his daughter. You got
Scott Glenn,
E.G. Marshall is the president's friend. Dennis Haysbert and Scott Glenn is the Secret Service. Judy Davis was cold and chilling and hardcore in her turn. I mean, it was just a really, really, really good.
Richard Jenkins is the hitman.
Yeah, which was very interesting, because
then Jan from The Office.
That's right. I was going to say that's
Michael Scott's going to come after the president.
He should after what Gene Hackman did to her. Yeah.
It even has that little black gal from I can't remember her name now, but from the Larry Sanders Show, played Beverly. Oh, Penny Johnson.
Yeah.
It's just a good movie. I thought I really liked it. But it's one of those ones that for whatever reason, I'd never really went back to. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. So when you had asked, hey, I was like, well, hell yeah, man, I'll watch it. And but I like it. I think it's a good movie. Is it my favorite Clint Eastwood movie? No, but it's a damn good movie with great performances. And how can you go wrong? It's Clint Eastwood, man.
Nice plug, by the way. Thank you. Damn good. Yeah. Bill, how about you? Was it rental?
Rental. And I think probably fairly. It's late 90s, so I probably watched it within a year that it had come out.
Okay.
I liked it, but it was a slow grower for me. I have a couple of things that kind of I think it needed more Gene Hackman.
That's fair.
I feel that he's underutilized in the movie because he's such a sleazy sleazebag in this. But I mean, he was underutilized. They could have used him more. And then the other part is, in the very beginning, I feel Clint stayed in that room the entire time. They don't know he's there. He was a sleuth. He was great at it, and he's safe. And then he comes out that quickly while they're still there at the house and climbs out a window.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just like, okay, you just did this to get a story going.
Put your character in
to
that
put
situation.
your character in a situation to get the plot. I always thought that was grasping, and I kind of rolled my eyes at that. I'm like, this guy's too smart to do something that stupid. I felt. In my mind.
But he also might be wondering if there was some sort of alarm or something. Maybe he thought the clock was ticking, that he had to get out immediately.
I think he was a little freaked out. He clearly wasn't expecting.
No, he was freaked out.
Yeah,
because obviously he knew who it was.
He didn't even think anybody was going to be home.
No.
We didn't know who it was at the point as the viewer, but he knew who it was.
That's right.
Right. Because it's not just a dude getting crazy with the chick in front of him and doing
it's the most powerful man in the world.
It's literally the president of the United States.
I know.
That's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
But I mean, those two things were my only two kind of issues with the movie. Other than that, I really enjoyed it, and but I really thought Hackman stole the show, and they should have used him more.
So it's interesting that you mentioned Gene Hackman. He almost always plays a villain. Very few times he plays a good guy. I think I'd say the most obvious playing a good guy, and even then he's complicated, is Hoosiers. Why do you think he chose more villain roles instead of a hero role? Because even when he was like a quote-unquote hero or the good guy in French Connection, he really isn't. So.
Popeye Doyle's a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he really is.
Well, not only that, he's just hardcore. I mean,
yeah.
I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. The line between law enforcer and lawbreaker isn't that wide, okay? It really isn't. Because a lot of them law enforcers, they'll do anything to get whoever it is they're after. They don't care. They'll destroy lives, whatever it is they have to do to get that person, to get their man, so to speak. They will twist the rules and do things that are unethical or sometimes downright illegal. And the criminals are just as bad. Like, to me, it's not, cut and dry. So, and I think for Popeye Doyle, man, especially, he was that kind of guy. And I think Gene, just because, let's be honest, in real life, things aren't that black and white.
Sure. Why don't you think he took more hero type roles specifically?
I think he liked playing in the heavy.
Okay.
I think most actors do. It's funner to play the villain, I think, than it is the hero.
Yeah.
Even some of Clint's hero roles are kind of morally ambiguous. And some of them, I mean, come on, man. According to himself, even in Unforgiven, he did some really horrible things, man. So I don't, because there you go. There's a character right there. He
wasn't all bad in Unforgiven either.
No, he wasn't. He was a law enforcer. He was a law enforcer, but he was hardcore. He did have a streak of cruelty in him. He liked beating people up.
He did.
He liked doing that stuff. He enjoyed it. He was sadistic. Mm-hmm. But I also think he was kind of cut from the same mold of like a Wyatt Earp. Yeah. Those guys were hardcore because they had to be hardcore.
Yeah.
It was a different time in the Old West.
Well, it's like the whole spaghetti westerns with Eastwood, the man with no name. He is a good guy, but kind of like he straddles that
morally ambiguous. Yes.
To be honest, the reason why I think we love seeing Clint and Gene on screen together is they're kind of the same mold as actors. They're
totally.
Even when they're good guys, they're complicated characters. I mean, you bring up, we brought up Popeye Doyle, but you bring up, he's always a bad guy. Well, in The Firm, was he really a bad? At the end, he was still trying to help Tom out.
He was,
I mean, he had a good streak in him, but he was just a complicated kind of. He's usually even in the conversation, he's a complicated dude. I mean. All these movies, you brought up Hoosiers. I mean, he had obviously beat on a kid or whatever to lose his job in the big city to end up in Indiana.
And think about that. That's in the 50s.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And so
it had to be pretty bad.
And so you're looking at a guy that, when he's bad, he's not all bad. And when he's good, he's not all good. He's always complicated. And I think Clint's kind of the same way. You look at a guy like Clint in Gran Torino.
Sure.
I mean,
100%.
He's a good guy, but he's a dick.
Yeah.
The whole
and
time,
racist.
Josie Wales. I mean, he was
Dirty Harry. We love him in Dirty Harry. But
they're all kind of the same. It's like there's layers to their characters, and that's what makes everybody love Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman. That's why they're such treasures.
That's right. That's right. They straddle that line. So the use of jewel thieves used to be a big plot point, kind of from the advent of motion pictures, going through the 70s. Then it seemed like it was being used less and less in the 80s, and actually now too. Why do you think that is? Is it sort of like Westerns where you kind of told the tale a million times and genres fade in and out? What's your take of jewel thief characters, and do you think they should kind of return? We'll start with Bill.
I don't know. I never really thought about it like that. I mean, I guess you're right. They did do that a lot back in the day. Yeah, I mean, you don't really see a lot of the sleuth thief type characters in general in a lot of these newer movies that I can think of.
Because like back in the day, you'd have Cary Grant was a cat burglar.
Catch a thief.
Exactly.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Lassiter with Tom.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean that would be a good character type to bring back.
Because Westerns kind of came back a little bit
for a while. It makes it interesting. I mean, that's what was interesting about this movie is it's like he's a bad guy, Clint's a bad guy, but he ends up being the good guy because of what he sees was something worse. He has a moral code. He was a thief, and they crossed his moral code, and he had to bring him to justice. And I mean, and that's. You're right. I mean, I think, you had a couple of maybe Statham movies, I think, where he was a thief in a few movies and probably like the aughts. You're right.
I can see Mark Wahlberg doing it. Like
Italian Job, which is a remake of a
Michael Caine. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few, but it's been few and far between. Yeah, that would be good.
Maybe it's harder because maybe it's harder because of technology, because the Ocean's movie was kind of doing it's all heist, but I don't know.
It's harder to pull heists like that now. Now it's going to be cyber heists.
That's right.
I don't know how that translates to movies. If it could still be cool.
Well, unfortunately, technology is great for some things, and it kills plots and a lot of things too. Especially
unless you do a period piece.
Unless you do it, and that's why people do it.
Period pieces for sure.
That's right.
And to me, I honestly. The Jewel Thieves quote unquote heist movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Reservoir Dogs, perfect example.
Yeah.
And most people love the heist movies where the heist goes bad.
Yep.
Sure.
Dog Day Afternoon that we covered on this very podcast. Perfect example, man. I don't think I got a theory that nothing ever really goes out of style.
Mm-hmm.
It may go dormant for a while, but somebody's going to come up with an idea and put their spin on it, and everybody's going to go, "Oh, fucking hell! Wow!" It's what I mean. I mean, I'm a big believer in that because I'm a fan of all kinds of genres of storytelling. I mean, I love Westerns, I love science fiction, fantasy, horror, drama, gangster films. Cop movies, whatever you call it.
As long as it's good writing,
but it's got to be it's got to be well written, and it's got to be well executed as well. No pun intended, but it has to be done at a high level. Even comic book films, it's got to be done, and it's got to be done at a good level. If it's not, then nobody's going to give a shit.
A movie we were talking about off mic here, which would be it falls under romantic comedy, is When Harry Met Sally, but it's done brilliantly.
Yes,
brilliantly.
Yes.
It shows both sides for the man and the woman, and it it's great. I mean, if it's done well,
and cast well. I mean, that was cast perfectly.
I mean, I showed Miranda, my girlfriend, recently. She'd never seen it. Was Fried Green Tomatoes.
Great movie.
As a child growing up, refused to watch it. That's a total chick movie. I'm not watching that bullshit. And then I had an ex that made me watch it, and I was like, oh, this movie rules.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, you just thought it was going to be a chick flick. Right?
I did, and there's no way I was going to watch it.
But even then,
phenomenal.
Okay, you can call it a chick flick if you want, but there are good chick flicks out there, just like of any genre. There are good movies in every.
I'll give you a Clint Eastwood one, Bridges Over Madison County. Amazing.
Love that movie.
I've never watched that one.
Amazing movie.
It's me in the feels, man.
That's right. But it's one that you have to see it as an adult. It doesn't mean as much when you're a kid.
Right.
I need to watch that. I've never watched that.
Yeah, but I mean, just Kathy Bates alone, like taking out the car and fried green tomatoes and just smashing it. That's I got more insurance.
The other thing I wanted to mention, dude, is and we covered that on this podcast. Murphy's Romance. That's a romantic comedy.
Great
I
romantic.
love that movie.
Good with a great cast.
So,
Great cast, yeah.
So I think maybe that's the problem today.
There was one genre we didn't talk about though, the whodunits. Those are great too.
That's true, and we'll get there. I mean, that used to be big in the early days too. I mean, with Sherlock Holmes movies and things like that, and the detectives. But no, I mean, I think the key is we have Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood. There is no more equivalent to Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood now. They just aren't, and it's a shame. So we've covered book adaptations in the past, mostly John Grisham. But when you discover like a film that was adapted from a novel, how often do you guys actually go back and read the book? Let's start with Bill.
I'm kind of I got to get back to reading more again, Brian. I haven't been reading much of anything. I'm working on the Seawolf right now by Jack London. I've been reading that for a while. I'm not digging it as much as I thought I would. Okay. I mean, I love Jack London, but I think I like more writing about animals more than people.
That's true.
But I mean, but a lot of times if I've read a book and I see them adapted into a movie, I'll get excited and go watch the movie. But just to see how it holds up. But I mean, in most cases, and I think this should be the norm, if you like the movie and you go back and read the book, it's going to take some of the pizzazz away from the movie.
Agreed.
Book's going to be better. I'll take.
Well, not always.
my favorite book of all time is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Read it after I'd watched the movie. Yep. Actually, when I was younger, and I still like the movie, but it took the movie's not ranked as high for me after reading the book because the book is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing, and then
there's
little changes to it that make it better. So yeah,
there's an example of the opposite, which is The Natural, where I actually appreciate the movie even more because the book itself is so dark.
And I've heard that. I've also heard that about Forrest Gump.
That too. I've done. Yeah, agreed.
But I know several people have read The Natural, and thank God Robert Redford said what he said, because that it would suck if they did it that way.
Nobody would care about that movie.
The movie's better than the book. Blade Runner. Blade Runner is better than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
There you go.
Have you read?
Yes.
Okay. Really?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I read the whole book, and I liked it. Don't get me wrong, but the movie is so much better.
One time, since in adaptations that I've watched, where I say they're pretty spot on, and I couldn't say that one's better than the other, is The Rainmaker by John Grisham. That movie. That movie with Matt Damon, that movie almost follows the book to a T. There's not really anything different. Like A Time to Kill, same thing. Now,
The Firm.
There's parts of the movie that they've added in which are actually great in A Time to Kill.
Sure.
But I still overall like the book more. Mm-hmm. I like the ending to the movie better than I liked the ending to the book, actually. But
you'll have to tell me off mic how the book ends.
Yeah, but I mean, The Rainmaker was very, very straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then there's also classics that kind of take on new life. I would say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and obviously all the Disney movies and things like that, where Disney, especially the early animation, they kind of just take on a life of themselves.
Sure.
Yeah. We kind of covered a little bit of the cast. Who stood out the most for you besides obviously Eastwood and Gene Hackman?
I'll start.
Yeah.
Ed Harris. Love Ed Harris. I've loved Ed Harris since the time I was a little kid. I thought he was phenomenal in it, and I think he's great in everything he does. Though I have a ton of Ed Harris movies. I've always, I said, been a fan. I thought Scott Glenn and Dennis Haysbert were great, and I thought Scott Glenn was a little. He was a little
downplayed.
Yeah, he wasn't all the way.
His heart wasn't in it.
He had a more. No. His heart wasn't in it. Dennis Haysbert was all like, "Oh, he's a president. He just had tunnel vision."
Yeah,
and I mean, he was hardcore.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was like Clint Eastwood messed with Joe Boo's rum, and he was going to fuck him up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I mean, but those guys, you're talking, God, I mean, through the years, all those guys don't really put in bad performances. They were all great. I mean, from Scott Glenn, from going back to Silverado, or even his
The Right
small
Stuff.
role in The Right Stuff. I saw that when I was a kid. And Ed
Urban
Harris,
Cowboy.
and even like in Training Day, where he's got a small role, he's great in that. And Dennis
Scott Glenn's
Haysbert-
great in everything he does.
Yeah,
really.
Dennis Haysbert, Major League, Mr. Baseball,
24.
24, the TV show, even Heat,
Scott Glenn was great as Stick in the Daredevil series.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was. And I mean,
I even like Dennis Haysbert's State Farm ads. So there you go.
there you go. Yeah, it's been a while since he did those.
Right?
But yeah, I think all three of those guys were
I heard
great in this
Jobu
movie,
told him
too.
not to do those commercials anymore. So.
But once he stopped hitting the slider, forget it,
Are you saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Love
Up
it.
your butt, Jobu. Yeah. Well, we will get to Major
We're
League.
doing that one. That's
100% we're doing that one. Mike, you kind of mentioned some of them, but was there any particular non-star that
honestly,
stood out?
the character, I think, I mean, I loved them all. My heart went out to Laura Linney, because this whole time she thinks her dad's just this total deadbeat of a father. And in many ways he was. But when she realizes that he had been there the whole time incognito, I thought was very touching, Yeah. I think, again, Scott Glenn, man, especially the scene where he basically tells, what's her face? Judy Davis.
The chief of staff. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's like, he just says that, if I could do it all over again, I would kill you. Basically, I regret my actions.
Yeah.
And if I could do it again, I'd shoot you instead. And I was just like, oh yeah. Like you said, he had remorse. He didn't really want to hurt anybody. Where Haysbert's just like, that's my president and whatever I have to do, which of course that's, again, not trying to reveal anything, but when Clint finally confronts him, he tells him that. He's like, well, you crossed a line, dude,
Yeah.
He did.
And as far as Laura Linney goes, I don't feel sorry for that bitch ever since I watched Ozark. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for her.
Different character, Bill. Different character.
Crazy.
Yeah, she was
Crazy
great in that, though. She's a great actress, man.
She is phenomenal.
Okay, so to wrap up, what did you guys really like about the movie? And is there anything you would have changed? Bill had a couple of those, but Bill, what did you really like about the film?
Shock and awe that when you find out that it was the president that was doing this, and then just what a sleazy douche that Hackman was. I mean, like I said, that's why I wanted more. I wanted more on screen time from him because he was so great in it. You didn't know what he was going to say, what he was going to do. He was going to go to whatever means necessary to cover all this up. That he killed his friend's wife that he was banging behind his back, and then he's going to try and off Eastwood at the same time. I mean,
it's not too far-fetched about what happens in real life.
That's what's scary about it. I was talking about it to a guy at work today that's on my training team, and I said, I tell him when I'm doing these, and I said, doing Absolute Power tonight. He goes, oh yeah, Gene Hackman and Clint Eastwood. I said, yep. I go, when Gene Hackman plays the sleazeball president, I go, I'd hate to think that, our president's just banging bitches and killing them behind the scenes. But I go, it's probably not that far fetched that things like that have happened.
Well, guess who was president in 1997?
Yeah,
I tell you what. And maybe he didn't kill him, but maybe his wife might have.
Hold on, Brian. Bill has something to say.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. I got to tell you, that whole thing with Micah, man, that's Hillary's idea. It wasn't mine. Shit. We were just trying to do menage a trois, get a little freaky with it,
Yeah, see, I mean, so we're blaming it on Hillary. It's not
right.
Bill's fault.
But yeah, I mean, honestly,
great job, by the way, Mike.
Thank you. The thing is about it is with all that, I mean, the very name of the book and the movie, Absolute Power, of course, comes from the old saying absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it does. You can go through the history books and see it. You can even see it in other media like Breaking Bad. That's a story arc where this guy starts off one way and ends up another one. Franklin from Snowfall is the same thing. I don't know if you've ever seen that series, Brian, but it's excellent.
No, I heard about it.
Fantastic.
I mean, you know, and I mean, look at Henry VIII, perfect example. When he first starts out, he's very young and idealistic and wants to do the right thing. But over time, the more power he gets, the worse it got, man, to where he's having people where their heads cut off left and right, man, and just doing all kinds of insane stuff. And I do think there is some truth to that. And I think even with the presidency, you know, I could see how, I'm not saying it's right, but I could see how there would be people that would be tempted to abuse their power. There's people that get in that, well, I'm the president, you know, I'm not just some normal Joe. I can do whatever I want, you know. I mean, I think a lot of world leaders are probably that way if we're going to be real brutally honest about it, man. And some of the scenes that I like, or the things that about it that I liked, one of the things, I mean, we all know how the movie ends and where they get to, but I would have actually liked to have seen what happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just to see what would have happened and the reactions of everybody that would have been involved.
Do you think that would have been more satisfying?
Seen the movie, if you guys have seen a movie that's almost like 30 years old, then if you haven't, though, watch it.
Well, you'd be surprised.
There's a lot of people haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it did fairly well, but not.
Yeah,
not a huge hit for Clint.
No,
you know,
but it wasn't a bomb.
No.
But no, there's some great scenes in the and one of the ones that is really chilling for me is when and again, don't want to give anything too much away, but there's a scene where the president is dancing with his press secretary.
Yes,
and that whole scene with them back and forth,
brilliant.
Where, you know, she finds out where the gift really came from.
Yep.
I love that. And I thought Gene was great.
And how they're both like smiling, but they're really like,
right. Yeah. You know, I'm like, yeah. And I thought to myself when watching, I'm like, I wonder how often when we see this stuff on TV, they're probably
doing the same thing.
I hate your fucking guts.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, Michael definitely know this, but E.G. Marshall famously played a president in another movie.
Superman 2.
There you go.
I love E.G. Marshall, though. I think he's a very underrated character actor.
Brian, question for you and both of you guys. Is it David Baldacci? Is that how it's pronounced? I
always thought it was Baldacci, but Baldacci.
But have you guys ever read any of his books?
So I have read Absolute Power. I think it's as good as the movie. I don't think it's better or worse. My dad was a big fan, so that's why I was the first day, because my dad was like, "I've read the book. You know who's in it. You should go see it." So yeah, he was a big fan of him.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, I think I have one or two of his books upstairs, but I haven't read any. I'd like to.
So it's Baldacci.
Baldacci, okay.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Baldacci's novels have been published in over 45 languages and in more than 80 countries.
Oh,
with over 130 million worldwide sales.
No, he's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, he's a big deal. He's one of the better ones from the last.
We got the Keenan Maxwell series. Keenan Maxwell. We've got the Camel Toe series. I mean, a Camel Club series. And several other ones. Yeah, he's got look how prolific this guy is. Good God.
That's the thing about like novelists. I mean, for every Stephen King and Grisham, there's a lot of other ones you just don't hear about.
Very successful. Yeah. And Baldacci's been successful. And, you know, I saw a guy that I've read a couple of his books is really good too, is Harlan Coben. This is really odd, but coming to St. Louis together to speak at this event, Harlan Coben and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, interesting.
They're coming together to speak together. I don't know. It was kind of interesting. I just saw something come across on it. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you know, Stephen King and John Grisham, they've had so many adaptations, but there's so many other guys. I can't remember trying to think of the guy's name that wrote The Lincoln Lawyer. I mean, he's super, he's successful and famous too.
That's where I sometimes get irritated with Hollywood, because I'm like, okay, let's do more and more reboots, and I'm like, you know, guys, there's
so
a bunch of IP, like you just mentioned. There's all these writers in these genres, but there are literally a shit ton of fantasy, science fiction, horror writers that are just waiting to be adapted, that have sold like millions of copies. Yeah. And you people are franchise happy and sequel happy anyway. Like, Go find the next Harry Potter.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they used to do in Hollywood. I'm talking about in the 30s and like they were adapting books back then. Yeah.
Well, yeah, The Thin Man, perfect example.
100%.
And I think like with Harry Potter, man, I think a series of books that would be great. They tried to do a television series, but again, they neutered it and watered it down on Sci-Fi years ago. But it was called the Dresden Files. But there's a character named Harry Dresden.
Sure.
Ironically enough. He's a wizard, but he's also a private detective. They're really cool stories and would make a great series of films.
Yeah.
Or better yet, now though, I think a lot of that stuff though, people are doing it with streaming now because you can literally make a television series that's just as high a quality as any film.
A TV show
with better character development.
A TV show I'm watching right now. They'd adapted to a movie back in the early 90s and late 80s, early 90s, and it completely flopped. And Robert Redford again got his hands on it and has now turned it into a TV show that's got 3 successful seasons now. It's been picked up for a 4th, which is Dark Winds.
Oh, okay.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, about a police officer on an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
Lou Diamond Phillips did the movie back in the early 90s, I think, Dark Winds, and I've never seen it, but it was a flop.
Yeah.
And Redford just loved the book. So
Chavez.
Yeah. He's adapted it to the TV show
with the help
now.
of George R. Martin from Game of Thrones.
He's involved in Dark Winds too. Yeah. I didn't know that. Interesting enough, but Robert Redford actually had a cameo in this season of Dark Winds.
Oh, nice.
No way.
Yeah, I look up and I was like, oh, he looked terrible. He's so old now, but he was in the jail and he was playing cards in the cell, and Joe says something to him and he looks up and says something, and I was like, oh my God, that's Redford. You know?
He never recovered from the sting. I think that's
right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave on that note.
We got to do that one day too.
Oh, 100%. That is one of the best movies ever, frankly. Actually, it might be the greatest heist movie of all time.
Yes. Talk about heist movies. There you go.
Thank you so much, guys. And you're going to be back on real soon.
Thanks, man.
If you enjoyed this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.